Good afternoon, and welcome to the discussion on descriptive statistics. My name is Kimberly Nelson, and I will be taking you through a brief history on this topic, discuss benefits and limitations of descriptive statistics, and finally work through some ethical concerns in this area and talk about how to navigate these biblically. As Christians, learning how to apply analytics in the workplace has some challenges, but understanding how to navigate them with integrity is of utmost importance. So thank you for taking the time today to understand why integrating descriptive statistics into your organization can provide a competitive advantage. Let's get started. So what exactly is descriptive statistics? According to Evans, the formal definition is methods of describing and summarizing data using tabular, visual, and quantitative techniques. But what exactly does that mean to your organization? I'm glad you asked. In its most basic sense, descriptive statistics simply presents the data as it is, without drawing inferences. That belongs to inferential statistics, which we will not discuss today. There are three main types of descriptive statistics. First are measures of central tendency. This summarizes a data set with one single value that represents the center, or the typical value of the data distribution. Most of you will understand this commonly as the mean, which is the average, median, which is the middle point, or mode, which shows which value occurs most frequently. Next, there are measures of dispersion, also called variability. Basically, this describes the spread of data around the central value, which shows the diversity or consistency of the data set. These are commonly known as range, which is the difference between the maximum and minimum values, variance, which is the squared deviation from the mean. Standard deviation indicates the average distance of each point from the mean, and the interquartile range, which highlights the middle 50% of the data set. Finally, there are measures of distribution, which describe the shape and characteristics of the data distribution, such as symmetry, peaks, and deviations. These are called skewness. This shows if the data is symmetrically distributed, which can be positive or negative, and kurtosis, which measures the tail of the data. High kurtosis shows common outliers, while low indicates rare outliers. Each type of descriptive statistics offers unique insight into the data depending on how it is presented. These can be presented numerically through methods such as calculating figures or creating a frequency table, or graphically through histograms, bar charts, pie charts, box plots, or scatter plots. Numerical methods involve computation of the metrics to best summarize the data, while graphical methods offer a visual representation, making patterns and relationships easier to identify. Now that we have discussed a basic understanding, how did we come to use descriptive statistics? Early statisticians include Edmund Halley, who famously was able to observe and record a comet in 1695 to arrive at the conclusion that they follow a pattern and would arrive again in 75 years, which it did, famously becoming named Halley's Comet, though he had passed by this time. Halley also spent a few years making transatlantic voyages by mapping ocean winds and tides, attempting to map the Earth's magnetic field to determine longitude. Next, William Playfair was noted for his use of graphical representations of data through pie charts, bar charts, and line graphs, incorporating shading and color to help make the graphics more readable. Next, John Snow was able to use data maps to look for patterns in cholera outbreaks. He interviewed families, organized the data, and was able to see a common use around one water pump. While he did not make inferences about the cause, he was able to use the data to correlate the sickness with a water source. More modern statisticians are Florence Nightingale, who was able to use a form of pie chart to push for field hospital maintenance and delivery of supplies to the fields. Her data showed a higher proportion of deaths from illness or untreated wounds rather than combat. George H. Gallup used sampling and surveys to compile predictions for elections. Last, John Tukey created both the box and whisker plot and the stem and leaf plot, with the argument that they are less likely to deceive compared with other contemporary graphics. While not even close to all-inclusive, each of these statisticians over time has created a useful aspect of descriptive statistics or presented it in a way to offer data in a substantially influential manner in their respective times. Now that we know who helped get us here, what are some advantages to implementing descriptive statistics in your organization? First, it provides a simple, clear way to summarize the challenging volume of big data. Next, it makes these large data sets easier to visually interpret through graphical methods. It also serves as the basis for inferential statistics, providing that data foundation upon which inferences can be made. Last, by presenting characteristics of data, patterns and trends can be quickly identified and acted upon, providing a competitive advantage when time is of the essence. Although there are many benefits, there are limitations as well to be aware of. With its lack of inference, descriptive statistics cannot employ predictions or generalizations beyond the data set. Additionally, the data is surface level as presented. There is no exploration made to determine relationships or causes of observed patterns and trends. Finally, descriptive statistics are sensitive to outliers in data, so computational methods can be distorted by several extreme values. This is why it is essential that more than one presented method is analyzed before moving into predictions or determining relationships and causes of patterns and trends. Now that you see how descriptive statistics can provide an advantage for your organization, let's navigate through 4 ethical challenges in this area and provide a biblical response for each. First, there is the potential to misrepresent or manipulate data. Both unethical practices lead to erosion of public trust, lack of integrity in data, and has the potential to harm society if the results are used to formulate products designed to help members of society. The Bible discusses just such a scenario in Acts 5, when Ananias and Sapphira sold property and misrepresented the amount of proceeds. Based on their misrepresentation, they both immediately lost their lives. While this is an extreme example, the potential for loss of life in data manipulation is just as extreme. Additionally, to maintain public trust and prevent harm to society, Romans 12:10 challenges believers to be devoted to one another in love and honor one another above yourself. Through these examples, we can remember the importance of properly presenting data. The next ethical concern comes in bias in data collection. Some statisticians work to formulate questions in a manner that invokes strong emotional responses instead of objective realities. Generally, this happens when one is attempting to validate a viewpoint instead of seeking truth. By setting up the data to be presented with bias, the results will be skewed toward the answer sought, rather than what might be the truth. To work with integrity, some companies will implement pre-registration methods of submitting plans before work begins. This removes the temptation to continually add participants until significance is seen as desired. Proverbs 10:9 reminds us that whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. The Bible is clear that as believers in the workplace, we are to hold ourselves to a higher standard of integrity so that we can walk securely and confidently, trusting that those who choose unethical practices will be discovered in due time. The third ethical challenge comes in a lack of consideration for data subjects, whether human or animal. In presenting data, there is the potential for harm to data subjects through lack of privacy or confidentiality. There is also the risk of further marginalizing groups through data presentation. In your organization, there are practical steps that must be taken to minimize these risks to data subjects. First, prior to data collection and presentation, consider the sample sizes that need to be taken to mitigate excessive sampling. Next, through data collection and presentation, ensure subject privacy, confidentiality, and data protection by eliminating personal identifiers. Last, when choosing to present data, consider its impact on marginalized groups. If it will further marginalize a group, step back and question whether its presentation is necessary. The Bible makes no qualms about the importance of people. While we focus on significance threshold, there is not one person that is out of God's watchful eye. Consider the flood in Genesis 7, when Noah, his wife, and their 3 sons and wives were spared. Just 8 people out of the world were significant enough to save. Additionally, Matthew 18 describes a shepherd rejoicing over finding 1 lost sheep out of 100. If we applied a 5% significance threshold, the shepherd would not have gone looking for that sheep. As believers, we sometimes must step outside the data and acknowledge that thresholds still leave some out and consider when to reset the threshold. Ephesians 2:10 reminds us that we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works. Sometimes doing good work means incorporating the outliers and those below the threshold. The final ethical concern is the propensity to withhold the open sharing of data. Apart from the need to protect data confidentiality, hidden data can lead to public speculation of fraud or hidden motives. This is another means in which public trust can be eroded. As believers, we are called to be good stewards of the resources God gives us, whether that is information, time, or knowledge. Additionally, God calls us to live in unity and community with one another. Sharing data and knowledge can allow for error correction, leading to an increase in public trust by that outside verification. Collaboration also encourages open participation to find better methods for reporting that potentially might not have been considered. Proverbs 27:17 encourages us by saying, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Sharing resources is beneficial to society through transparency, data integrity, and data presentation that is accurate and unlikely to cause harm. Now that we have challenged some areas where it might be tempting to act unethically, let's talk about some fields where descriptive statistics can be implemented. As professionals in various Christian organizations, you might be wondering if this could even be used in your workplace. Let's talk about 4 common areas where descriptive statistics can be easily implemented. In education, descriptive statistics serve to calculate and present figures on student performance. Numerically representing data allows for the graphical representation to see if there might be one area in which most students struggle. Being able to quickly identify a challenge area allows educators to refocus on that topic instead of areas in which students are excelling. Next, in the healthcare industry, data can be summarized to best show patient demographics and treatment outcomes. This serves to help practitioners steer their approaches. For example, if the demographics of an office showed an aging population, you would understand that you do not need to recruit a pediatrician at this time. Instead, you would focus a provider search on a geriatric specialty. Next, when working in an industry impacted by environmental regulations, descriptive statistics can serve to report on temperature, rainfall, seasonal patterns, all which can lead to further interpretation on responses and measures implemented to ensure environmental compliance. Finally, in a general business setting, descriptive statistics serve as the foundation upon which all areas of your company can make decisions. By reporting on revenue, customer demographics, and expenses, departments can set budgets and target markets. Reporting is essential to business continuation by providing patterns and trends and numerical data upon which educated decisions are made in the best interest of your company. So in conclusion today, I hope you see that descriptive statistics is useful to provide insight into large data sets, leading to better decision making. Being able to organize data in a manner that is user-friendly with appropriate visuals allows organizations opportunities to make informed decisions. So while descriptive statistics does not lead to inferences, predictions, or relationship associations, they are the foundation to understanding significant amounts of data. As practitioners, we must ensure honest, transparent, and relevant reporting in our organizations to maintain public trust, confidence, integrity, and privacy for all subjects and people impacted by our reporting. Thank you for your time today. I will be available to answer any questions you may have. I have also included a printout in the back that you can pick up on your way out of the referenced Bible verses for you to take back to your offices as a visual reminder of best biblical principles in the workplace.